in today's beginner's Unity tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to do player movement. So this is my player movement script. I basically declared a pan speed of 20. So that's basically the maximum speed that my player can go, and then I've done a public float for speed so that I can assign a speed that I want my character to move. The keys that I've used to move are WASD keys. The reason for that is obviously on a keyboard, those keys are close together and they're the easiest keys to use, because you don't really want to do player movement with keys that are halfway across a keyboard from each other, because otherwise, it's going to be hard to kind of move. And because those keys are so close together, it's kind of like you don't really have to struggle to move. So this is the code that I used to get my player to move. I will put the code in the comment section of the video so that if anyone does want to use the code, it's already there for you. In my player object, I've got a rigid body, I've got a box collider. It's not really relevant to have a box collider. And then I've got my actual movement script that I just showed you, and I've got this pan speed and then the actual speed that I can assign it. So I've just assigned it 10. And then if I actually play the Unity scene, if I press W, it goes backwards. If I press S, it goes forward. A goes left, and D goes right. And I've also moved the camera into my player, so it kind of gives it a first person perspective. So the camera kind of follows my player, as you can see, as I move around my scene. Basically how I did my scene is basically how I did it in a previous video. I basically just added a cube and I flattened it, and then I added a texture over the top. So if I go into my textures folder, I basically dragged in images from my pictures on my laptop, and I changed the settings on them to 2D sprite. It doesn't matter whether you're working in a 2D game or a 3D. Generally the images get converted to 2D that you use. And then if you wanted to assign them to a specific object, for example, let's just put brick wall flooring on my floor for a minute. This is what it would do. As you can see, my floor has now changed. If I change it back, you just drag and drop it in the hierarchy, and as you can see, it's changed back. So that's kind of how you do materials on an object with images. As I explained in one of my previous videos, I did a material just using a color that's built into Unity, but this is using images that you can find on the internet yourself and use them in Unity. My player was modeled in 3D modeling software, so I modeled it in Blender. So that's basically how that player was made. But that's basically how you do player movement.